Welcome back to the channel. My name is David Fritz, and in this video you're going to find out what kind of template I'm using to produce tech house way faster. Before I start this tutorial, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out any music production tutorials for tech house and house music. And also the track you're hearing in the background right now is called Suave, so definitely check that out on Spotify. All the links are in the description, so definitely check that out. And let's get straight into the tutorial. So guys, we are here in FL Studio, and the reason why we as producers need to produce faster music is because every single time we have an idea, we need to be able to write the idea down straight away. I've also released another video which explains exactly how to produce faster and why it is essential. But basically, I created this template and you can also copy each and single step. So definitely stick to the end of the video so you can copy each single step and put it into your DAW to produce faster music, because that's going to help you a lot to write all the ideas down as soon as possible. So what we can see here straight away is that I've already assigned a few vocal channels here, 1 to 4. I have vocal automations within one color. Then I have bass, 1 to automation, sidechain trigger, kick 1 to 6, or like drums 1 to 6, basically drum fills. I have a drum bass volume automation installed here. Another automation, whatever I choose, ear candy, instruments, automation for instruments, pads, automation for pads, riser, downfalls 3 times. And then I have also here a few more automations which are installed on the master bus. Okay, I'm gonna come straight to that. And what you can see here in my template, there's already installed this basic drum pattern which goes like this. Which is gonna just make it way easier to start producing any track, because the basic tech house and house music drum pattern is already installed. Then you can see in my channel rec as well, I have a lot of instrument already installed here. So if I want to press record, I just basically choose one of them. For example, this is a sub bass. So I can straight away just press this double click, press the record button, choose one of the instruments here like the GMS, or which is a FL Studio plugin, or I can choose just this is just a sample. So I can just start playing straight away. Super easy, super convenient. What I've also installed here is basically this is a kick plugin, so I can create my own kicks if I want to. Already assigned to channel 5 where the kick is usually where the kick is. Then I have also hi-hats. I have a hi-hat layer channel, so I can just drag and drop basically some sample into this and layer my hi-hats with another one if I want to. Let's get straight now to the automation. So this thing here is basically a drum bass automation. So let's say it comes close to a drop and I want to create a build up. I try to leave the drums a bit more quiet, and as soon as the drop hits, the drum are the loudest. The drums, like the hi-hats, the claps, the percussion, whatever, the snares, whatever I choose to use as a drum. Then I'm just gonna explain you quickly the master bus automation. So what I have here is a master bus reverb automation. So let's imagine your track, it has a build up, okay? And then just before the drop comes, you want to create this master automation to make it just way easier to create a better and bigger build up. So I have on this master bus channel 50 a Valhalla Supermassive, okay? And the more it plays, the more this dry wet mix opens up. And as you see, it creates some sort of tension, it creates a build up, which makes it then way more interesting again. Then I have also a few other automation, which is the master field separation. Also, one of the tips is that if you have, again, a build up, you go more into mono. The more this is up at 80% or something, it goes more into mono. And when the drop hits, you create this kind of automation, which goes down to 30%. And then the whole mix goes more into stereo. As you can see here, which creates also a bit more loudness, and it gives you, especially in headphones, this feeling that the drop hits just simply harder. Then I have also a high pass, low pass automation, which is also a very simple one. You can just do like that. Same again with the drop. It's a high pass filter. and then it goes down and all the frequencies are heard. Then I have the same thing with a low pass or low pass filter. And I have also a master bus volume, so I can literally focus on the whole mix, how big the volume is if the drop hits, and maybe make it a bit more louder. Maybe I have to make it a bit more quiet because it's the contrast is too big. So those are the automations. Then what I have as well, let's go straight into the mixer, okay? So let's start here on channel 1 is a sub bass. On the sub bass I have a saturation knob, a good saturation tool to make, to add frequencies to the bass or also more character if it's just a sub bass, for example. I have the Camel Crusher, which is a free plugin. I have the Decapitator, which is a bit more fancy plugin, but there's a lot of controls, a lot of presets I can use. So definitely recommend also the Decapitator. A lot of people use that. Then I have also the OTT, which is a multi-band up and downward compression. Then I have this compressor here, which is the Kotelnikov. It's also a free plugin. I really like this one. I'm using it a lot in all of my tracks I released. Then I'm having, especially for the bass, I have an LFO tool, which is the sidechain compression, okay? The reason why I'm using the LFO tool and not the Fruity Limiter is because you have way more control about the wave. You can add points here. There's just so much more control to like sidechain compress your bass if you really want to. Then because it's the sub bass as well, I have a Fruity EQ 2 here. So I cut away a lot of the frequencies because a sub bass usually goes till here, to like 100 Hertz. But it makes it easier just if there's something interesting, I might want to keep it upwards. And then as you see, the sub bass, the bass layer 1 and the bass layer 2 go all to the bass bus, okay? So on bass layer 1 and 2 I have pretty much the same things as on the sub bass. The only difference is here I have a different sort of compressor, which is the Molotok. It creates a bit more, if you compress it heavily, it creates a very, very strong vibe, and it creates also even more saturation. On the bass bus itself, I have the Kickstart 2, just for the case. It's basically also again a sidechain compression. I have another Decapitator, I have another saturation knob, I have high pass, low pass filter to have more control. I have the Key HS limiter, which is just a limiter if something, if I feel like the transient are going too loud or something like that. Then I have also again a high pass, low pass filter to have more control over the whole bass. Then let's go to the drums. The kick is the first one. That goes, as you can see, straight to the bass bus because I can literally then mix and compress the kick and the bass together, okay? Then the kick, as you can see, goes also to the drum reverb if I want to create some sort of, whatever I want to choose. But as you can see here, the kick goes to the drum reverb with 0 volume, okay? There's no volume installed in this. The reason for that is simply, imagine now the hi-hats, the claps, everything goes to the drum reverb, okay? That creates quite a lot of noise. It's just reverb, a pretty reverb. Then we have the kick 2. If I want to layer the kick, then I can literally just use that one here. Another, bit more even relay, which is a stereo field plugin. If I want to, add some sort of upper layer for the kick and put it more into stereo, I have more power over that one as well. Then I have the open hi-hat channel, which has again saturation knob, the relay, which is the stereo with plugin. Then I have as well a Fruity Limiter. I taught in one of my videos you can use the upward or the downward compression, which means you can go on, let's say here you can see you can go on 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, or you go the opposite and actually compress it down, which is then 3 to 1 and the opposite basically. And as well I have this Fruity EQ with already a high pass filter around 200 Hertz because hi-hats usually don't need all the frequencies, and we need to keep this area quiet because if you produce and you have a bass, this area, especially for a hi-hat, there's no need to have it because it basically just muds up the mix. It's frequencies which are not needed because you don't really hear them, especially for hi-hats, because hi-hats is a very high-pitched instrument. So definitely use this high-pass filter in a lot of those things. I have the same as on hi-hat 2, and I have the same as well on claps. It's also high-pass because claps are usually going until this is the main area where they're playing here. Then I have also the snare. Pretty same things. I have also a compressor again, saturation knob, EQs, etc. I have a snare 2, I have a percussion 1, 2, 3, ear candy, etc. Drum fills as well, and they all go kick 2 till drum fills go to the drum bus. I have also more. I have a saturation knob again, Fruity Limiter, Decapitator, and I have the stereoscope to find out if something is too much in stereo, if I'm gonna get some issues in the whole mix. It shows me if something is too much stereo. If it goes above 100%, I have to know that I use too much relay. And I have again the high pass low pass filter, because we don't need any of those frequencies. And you might know that the reason why I put the decapitator here and not here after the high pass low pass filter is because the chain goes from the top to the bottom. Okay, if I use this decapitator on the drum fill bus, okay, on the drum bus, and basically it creates a lot of more frequencies. But if the high pass or low pass filter is not after the decapitator, I'm not cutting out the frequencies. And the reason for this is because we want to cut out the low frequencies which are not needed, especially for all of those elements, because they're not really relevant. The only relevant elements, the only relevant instruments and channels are the bass bus or the bass channels and also the kick, but all the rest is not necessary. Then I have a drum reverb channel. So basically, if I want to just simply add some delay to any of those channels, I basically just do this. Increase the volume, and then this drum delay channel has already Fruity Delay 2 on it with some settings installed. So I just literally have to do this, increase the volume, and then you can hear the delay. Same is with the drum reverb. So I basically have the Fruity Reverb 2 here installed, or I have the Valhalla Supermassive with a reverb preset installed. So yeah, I can basically choose, and then I have also saturation up afterwards. And again, as high pass low pass filter, because even reverb sometimes creates low frequencies what you don't really need. Then let's go to the instrument bus. I have instrument bus 1, instrument 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and pads. Each of those instruments have an auxiliary channel, which means they have this channel where I have some sort of effects installed, same as reverb or simply just a delay. Okay, the reason for that is if I would put a Fruity Delay or a reverb on the same channel as the instrument, I don't have much power and much control over the effect. I don't have much control over the reverb at all. So what I have to do, I have to basically put it here, open just up the volume, that's it. Let's say I want to keep a bit of the low frequencies in instrument 1, but I have Fruity Reverb on the same channel and I cut away all the frequencies. That means that maybe I want to keep the low frequencies from an instrument, but I don't want to keep the low frequencies from the reverb, or I don't want to keep the high frequencies from the reverb. So that's exactly why I have those auxiliary channels, which go straight to the high instrument bus. Each of them have that. And the instruments have usually the same settings. I have a Rough Rider, which is again it's a compressor. I have a Fruity Limiter. I have high pass low pass filters installed on each single one of them with already presets, so they're ready to go. I didn't need to do a lot of mixing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It makes the whole thing, the whole production process easier. And on the high instrument bus, I have a decapitator, saturation knobs, 3 limiters, stereoscope. Nova is again, that's a multi-band compression tool. So that's a really smart one. You can even use the Pro Q3, but this Nova is a free version of it. So you can literally multi-band compress frequencies. So if you say, let's say this frequency here, those frequencies are on 5K, I want to downward compress them. You just enable the threshold, go down, and then as soon as some of the frequencies hit this blue line here, it compresses the frequencies down, but just from this area here. It's a really smart plugin. The multi-band compressor gives you heaps of more control over your mix, so definitely download that as well. Then I have again a high pass low pass filter. I'm literally using FL Studio plugins for my tracks because it just works. Like, I've released 10 tracks with record labels. You can do the same thing. If you use all of those things, it definitely works out. I'm going to explain you very shortly why I have those Fruity limiters installed. Okay, so as you can see, this kick here is assigned to the high instrument bus here with 0 volume, and that's going to stay like that all the time. As you can see here on the compression section, sidechain, I have the kick already installed. That means basically each single time this kick is playing, on the high instrument bus, the volume gets stuck down each single time the kick is playing, which is gonna give you heaps more power, and the kick can punch through the whole mix because you have this little bit of sidechain compression on the high instrument bus. The same thing goes to the reverb bus. I have a long reverb channel, and all of the reverb channels, like this one, the short reverb, the long reverb from the vocals, go to the reverb bus. And basically I have on this reverb bus again a 3D limiter assigned to the kick. So each single time the kick is playing, the kick even punches through the reverb bus, which is gonna give you, again, you hear the kick way more important, especially for house music and tech house. Hearing the kick is one of the most important things, so definitely don't forget that. Then I had again the vocals 1, 2, 3, and 4. My vocal chain usually looks like this. I have a 3D EQ in the beginning to have more control. Then I have a saturation knob, again a saturation tool, the capitator. I have a compressor Kotelnikov, a sound godizer, which is again a FL Studio plugin, and I have again a high pass low pass filter here installed. And you see as vocal 1, 2, 3, and 4, they all go to the vocal bus. And if I want to, I can just increase again the volume of one of them, and then I have a short reverb attached to them or a long reverb attached to them. And then again, the vocal bus goes to the master bus. Now the last thing I'm going to share with you guys is the master bus, okay? So the master bus, the only thing it has is a little bit of saturation knob, so I can add a little bit more saturation to the whole mix if the song is finished. As I said, this is the the reverb plugin for the automation. And then I have again a gain plugin, which is the Fruity Balance, again an FL Studio plugin. And I have the Fruity Limiter as well, if there's any transients which are too loud for me. And it has as well this high pass low pass filter. And this master bus goes to this proper master bus from FL Studio, and that is simply on this master bus. There's no processing involved. The only thing I have is to check if something is not right. For example, this plugin is called Levels. It basically shows me the whole peak, the peak of the whole mix, the maximum dB my mix is having. So I can go on this one. I can go on the LUFS, which shows the average energy loudness of the mix. I have the dynamic range, I have the bass space, and I have the stereo field. Okay, then I have as well the stereoscope, which is basically the same thing as a stereo field in Levels. It just shows me if there's something which is too much stereo. Yeah, and then I have as well span, which is a really important one, because this is the only thing visual about this whole template, is that I can compare my track to one of the reference tracks from one of the tracks which are released by another famous artist, and I can compare the frequencies if it looks similar. If it looks similar, I know that I'm kind of in the right area. If I, for example, see that the sub bass is way higher than the hi-hats, then I know that something is wrong. So I can literally visually compare a reference track with my track, what I just produced. Then the last thing I can definitely recommend is the Mix Checker Pro. This plugin basically is such a great tool, because imagine you want to listen to your track in the car, you want to listen to it in headphones, you want to listen to it on your phone, everything, but you don't want to export the file, go to your car, it's too much effort. This plugin basically makes it possible for you to just simply listen to the track within the software FL Studio on multiple different devices. For example, in your car, in a sedan Paz. You can even listen to the track in a club, headphones. There's so many things you can do. You can even go on, listen to it how it would sound like if you listen on your computer, headphones, a phone. I definitely recommend this plugin because it just saves you heaps of time, and you can just literally use your track and listen to it on a lot of different devices. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and have a good day, guys.